I was diagnosed the day before my 28th birthday and 2 months before my wedding. I was living in Colorado and was living that normal life that a 27-year-old woman leads, and completely found a lump on accident and went to the doctor and was quickly diagnosed with breast cancer afterwards.
I was 43 with my first diagnosis, and then I was diagnosed with bone metastatic breast cancer when I was 44.
I went for a normal mammogram, had a mammogram, and it was normal. And then about 2 weeks later, I had a pain underneath my arm. I was diagnosed at 46 with early stage breast cancer. And it was a few months after my mother had passed away of another type of cancer.
I was diagnosed a long time ago when I was 35. My daughter Sarah was 3.5, and my son Gabe was 9 months old. When I was 40, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. I thought, well, this has to be it, and that was 20-some years ago.
I was actually at home in Ohio with my mother and my soon-to-be mother-in-law, and was out shopping for my honeymoon, and got the call and just looked to the both of them and I said, well, just put all the clothes away because I'm not going to have a wedding.
I got the call at work. I picked up the phone and called my sister Deb. And I didn't need to say anything. I just started crying. And she knew.
I had lost my mom in 2003 from metastatic breast cancer, so I had always had mammograms for 10 years prior. So when they called and said that they wanted me to come in to redo a mammogram, I really wasn't surprised. My surprise came when they told me I needed to see the radiologist, and I walked in the room, and in front of me was my picture of my left breast with a tumor. And the nurse came in and she said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "No." I picked up the phone and I called my husband, and I didn't say one word, I just cried. And he just said, "It'll be all right."
I was petrified. I had a baby, and I had a 3.5-year-old. I felt like, they're not going to know me, that they're going to grow up without a mom.
My biggest support team has been my husband, Demi, of 23 years, and our 2 sons, Lakin and Dari. Also, my #1 biggest supporter was Amy Lessick. Without Amy, I don't think I would have been able to really get through it.
It starts, of course, with my then fiance, Paul, who, we did end up getting married a year later. And, of course, both sets of our parents and our siblings.
When I was diagnosed and during treatment, it was my sister Deb who I really relied on for everything. She really held me together. And I don't think I could have really made it through without her.
My husband, Ed, we've been married almost 40 years, is a physician. He's an internist. And this has been very difficult for him. It's an overwhelming concept for someone who loves you.
It was really traumatic for the both of us. Close to the end of my chemotherapy, I told my fiance, Paul, I said, "You're allowed out. You didn't sign up for this. And I totally understand if you don't want to be with me." And he looked over to me and he goes, "You are the craziest person I have ever met." And I knew at that moment I had the right guy.
So as crappy as this diagnosis is, I think it allowed my kids to mature and understand life in ways they never would have. And when you see them turning into the adults you've hoped they would become, it's just the most amazing, wonderful thing.
The 2 greatest joys are my 2 boys, who are 9 and 12. My son came home with a book. It was about a hero he had to make in school, and I was his hero. And on the cover was me. and he told a story in his book about how I was his hero because I battled breast cancer.
After my diagnosis, I knew I really wanted to find a way to give back, and I had no idea sort of what that would look like or feel like. And I got an email from LBBC because I had attended one of their conferences and picked up some of their guides, and it was recruiting for the helpline. And when I got the email, I went, well, that's it. I know that's it. I then joined the staff in 2012, and now I actually train volunteers for the helpline. And I love doing that.
For me, giving back means a lot. When I was diagnosed and I went online, I realized that there were people exactly like me. You know, breast cancer doesn't know age, it doesn't know color, and we all need to, be informed.
I've been a fashion designer for a very long time, and I decided to make sexy, comfortable lingerie for survivors. And in that process of that development of my brand, Anna Ono, I reached out to Jean and asked her if she would be willing to partner with me so I could donate a section of my proceeds back to Living Beyond Breast Cancer. It's just been really amazing to give that feeling to a woman of what I was searching for after my surgery.
I knew about the organization, but my whole outlook about reaching out to that was, I don't need that stuff. I'm going to take care of this myself. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I think I went to an LBBC conference, and I thought, this is a quality organization. I want my impact on life to be little things, reaching out to one person, touching one person. And that's what this organization does. So the helpline is the little thing that I do. I think it's great for the people who call in, but it's probably better for me.
My life has changed a great deal since I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was single again when I was diagnosed and really didn't know if I would meet anyone. And I reconnected with a childhood friend that we grew up together, Charles. So Charles and I were engaged, and both of us not really necessarily in a rush to get married, but my dad was going to be turning 90. And I just thought, I want my dad there, and I wanted him to see me happy and whole.
All in all, my diagnosis gave me perspective. And with that perspective, I've been able to take myself into consideration when I'm working too hard or not taking care of myself the way I should be, and giving myself the opportunity to put a little balance in my life, which was not there before breast cancer. I'm living one day at a time. It's a challenge. I can't think about the future. It's full of too many questions for me.
Going through this journey has just made me realize how important life is, to live each day to the fullest. I always took it for granted that I would grow old, and very, very old. But now, after having gone through breast cancer and having seen my mother pass away from the disease, I understand now that life is not promised.
This experience, for me, has been most of my adult life. So trying to say how it has changed me is really kind of difficult. I think what it has taught me to do is to slow down. And as we've all said, who would want this? But if you've got it, try to find something that's valuable to you in it. And I hope I've been able to do that.
I like to say that about sort of my breast cancer journey, it's not necessarily what I would have chosen, and yet it's exactly where I'm meant to be.